All right, music fans and truth seekers alike. Harmless Dave here. Day three of my issues with this stomach thing that I got the other night. And I still feel like I went several rounds with George Foreman. So I appreciate those who've reached out to me, who've prayed and so forth. There are some pretty serious problems around the world. I'm just a guy who obviously either ate something or I don't know what. I have no idea. Some people think it's psychosomatic because I was dealing with something in particular that day. And I gave in to the whole thing. And then later on, I just felt like crap. I mean, anyone who thinks like your emotions don't affect your health overall, yeah, I don't agree with that. Your emotions and how you feel about yourself, I think that's directly um, responsible sometimes for a lot of things that happen in your own health. So, anyway, all that to say, I'm going to try to do this video. It's a super slow day. I was looking at all the headlines, like, Motley Crue is going to Vegas. Whoop de doo. Joe Bonamassa might quit soon. He's like, I don't want to be one of those lifers. I want to quit. So good for him. He's smart. He sees the writing on the wall. Is rock music very popular these days? No, especially the way Joe performs. His stuff is the least popular. There is almost no support system other than Spotify, right? And you have to go and find the music yourself. And so some people are good with that. Anyway, the other night I was going to watch the vice presidential debate, but I decided against it because I was just not feeling well. And my wife is like, we should watch this. And I'm like, you know what? I need sleep. I'm sorry. I just had not that I had a bad feeling about it, but I again after that day, I didn't want to be yelling at the TV. I didn't want to be yelling at moderators. I didn't want to be upset about all of the misrepresentation that happens, people trying to make their point, and apparently at one point they actually cut the mic of JD Vance because he was truth bombing and the moderators didn't even know what he was talking about. And, he had the receipts on several issues. And Tim Walz, who called himself a knucklehead because he couldn't tell the truth about Tiananmen Square. Did you visit Tiananmen Square in 1989? Yes, but it was after the fact. I misspoke. Oops, sorry. So if you're going to lie about something, can you lie about something a little bigger? Like I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. You could do that. That's a pretty big lie. But then at least Clinton came back and said, "Well, I did. I actually did." Because he was surrounded by the truth at that time. People knew that he was lying. So is this a big deal? It is because you really need somebody who isn't going to struggle with the truth so much. And it's not as if politicians don't lie, but if the liberal media is attacking you and you can't answer the question, then you have big problems. People all across the political spectrum, left and right, for the most part, thought that JD Vance more or less wiped the floor with Tim Walz. Well, that should be good news, right? If you're a Trump supporter, this is where I'm going to go all black pilled and do my crazy prognosticating. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, I hear there are a lot of people that just don't like when I start talking about this. And I have no proof, by the way. And a lot of times I will tell you, I do not have proof of what I'm about to say. But based on what happened in 2020, I'm using that as sort of a benchmark. What happened in 2020? We had the COVID stuff, and then it just seemed as though all the rules got changed. They're mailing out ballots and they're getting tons of ballots after the votes are supposed to be counted. That did happen. I know people don't want to admit that that happened, but it did happen. So, why am I getting into this? Because after that performance and the fact that Kamala doesn't do interviews, she seems like she's just a figurehead. Like they put her up there, and I'm not saying she's an awful person. All right. She cackles a lot. And so people have, associated that with joy. She's a joyful warrior. She laughs about everything. Look at that hurricane damage down in North Carolina. That's not funny. And by the way, where are the feds? The feds should have been in there. The National Guard should have been in there like the next day, but apparently they're going to send the Cajun National Guard, which is a little bit different. It's a volunteer network that is going up there with boats and all the gear that they, I think, used during Katrina, which it just shows that when you want something done correctly, you got to do it yourself. And the government is typically in the way when it comes to problem solving. This is one of those disasters, though, that's a domestic problem. And this is where the government probably should step in and be quick about it. But, you know, the government moves at the speed of the U.S. Postal Service. Anyway, so let me get back to my theory. I don't know how I went on that tangent. So it doesn't look good right now for Harris and Walz. It just doesn't look good. The election is still close, but Trump, I think, in the various battleground states is winning. And I think that is only going to expand. Like his lead will only get a little bit bigger. It's not going to, he's Donald Trump. I know there are people that just, I can't vote for Donald Trump. There's no way. But then I can't vote for her because her policies are crazy. I would say vote according to policy. That's what I would say. I know you don't like Trump, but vote according to policy. And I've said this: lower gas prices, lower interest rates, peace around the world. Now we got war just escalating in the Middle East. That's another issue. So it doesn't. My bottom line here is it doesn't look good for Harris and Walz right now. It's October 3rd. Now, this could be one of those instances where I say, mark the tape, or it could be a failed prediction, a failed prophecy by yours truly. So why did they do so poorly picking the candidate, which was Harris, and they did even worse picking Walz, which is hard to imagine? You can make the argument that Walz makes Harris look a little better. I guess. I don't know. Probably not. And she could have picked the guy from Pennsylvania who would have at least gotten some extra votes, and maybe Pennsylvania would have been an easy victory for Kamala, but maybe not. I don't know. The point I'm going to make here is that something is coming. Something is coming. This can't be just, okay, this last debate, we've got a leftover taste of the knucklehead Tim Walz not being able to answer questions. People saw that J.D. Vance, people don't like J.D. Vance, but he showed that he was knowledgeable and that he had command of the issues. See, this is what's more important to me. People talk about personalities and, oh, he made this allegation of what's going on in Springfield, Ohio. Okay, well, he fact-checked the moderators on that, and the moderators were wrong. They were completely wrong. All right, so let me get to my overarching brilliant point that I'm trying to make. So there's got to be a giant October surprise coming. They must have a way to just stop any of the momentum that Trump and Walz currently have. There's got to be something. They are not going to just, oh, gee, we're going to lose. We're just going to let Donald Trump win. Nope. There's no way. And let's say, for example, that Trump does win the election legitimately, and it's not that close, and he wins. What happens between election day and the day where Trump is sworn in to the White House in January? What happens in that time frame? I guarantee you it can't be good. It's not going to be pretty. But I think something is going to happen prior to that. I think they would rather deal with this now than have to deal with it after people have voted, because people are going to say, hey, you guys want democracy? Well, democracy spoke, and Trump is the winner. So now what are you going to do? You know, well, it gets complicated, but there are things that they could do, I'm sure. But it's a lot easier to deal with this before November 5th. And my guess is they're going to find something, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm just using the amount of time we have left, not just yet. What has to happen is the wall's performance has to kind of fade a little bit. And, we had that uh, supposed new Trump allegations in New York or whatever, which is basically the same allegations with fancier verbiage attached to it. There's nothing new. Even the New York Times says there's really nothing new in the allegations against Donald Trump. So, what am I thinking? Well, we've already had 2 assassination attempts. Um, Easily there could be a third. All right. But I'm thinking there's got to be something else that has to do with voting. And of course, we have this little problem in Western North Carolina. That's a swing state. Those are all Trump voters down there, by the way. That's Trump country. Appalachia is Trump country. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, that's one that you can look into. But I don't even think that's going to be it. They need something that is going to be like a slam dunk for them. And whether it's another attempt on Trump, or my guess is this is going to be something like COVID, but faster and crazier and more intense and more insane. And it's going to be designed to trigger the people who are like, okay, it looks like we're cruising at altitude now. It looks like things are going to go pretty well. Trump and Vance, looks like they're going to win. That's good. Lower interest rates and lower gas prices and a secure southern border and maybe some peace in the Middle East and between Russia and Ukraine and between China and Taiwan. Maybe we can get there, right? Make America healthy again for all you RFK people. Absolutely. 100% on board with all of that stuff. I don't know. They're not going to let this go. This is not going to be this easy. After what happened in 2020, why not do something again? Because they've got everybody convinced that there was nothing to see in 2020, nothing to see, nothing happened. And they've got everybody convinced, the majority of people are still convinced that those so-called safe and effective products are still safe and still effective. And they're just updating for each new variant, which is crazy how they know in advance how to do that. So if they can convince all of these people and use fear and manipulation and true mis and disinformation, which I'm sure they're going to use, and this will be a talking point that goes out like J.D. Vance is weird, Donald Trump is weird, everybody is weird all of a sudden. How did that just go out to every news outlet? That was bizarre, right? It's like the DNC runs certain portions of the media. And yeah, there's right-wing media too, but typically the right-wing media doesn't unify around a talking point. So all this to say, this isn't over at all. There's no way this is over. There is no way they're going to let this happen this easily because it looks good for Trump and Vance right now. Whether it's all of this crazy polling that they're going to put out there, the polling data from 2020 and 2016 was much worse for Donald Trump than it is right now. And in the case of 2016, Trump ended up winning. And in 2020, over like 3 or 4 states, the difference was like 45,000 votes. So again, I'm thinking Trump is doing better this time, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. But I think what's going to happen is something huge and something disastrous and something that is going to trigger people that have been waiting to get back to the things that we want, which was like the 2018 economy. That's what most people want. Most people. Other people want so-called healthcare. That's the most important thing they want, which I just can't see how that issue carries the day. Legislate in your own state, wherever you live. If that is your top concern, then go to your state legislature and go to your governor, go to whoever your state rep and demand that they do what you want them to do, because that's how the law is right now. It went back to the states. Anyway, I think I got through this. A lot of pain still, and it kind of sucks, but I appreciate everybody who are just would stay with me and watch this. This isn't my best video, but I wanted to be on record that I just don't think this is over. This can't be over. This it would be too easy, and we don't do easy anymore. We don't do elections that are solved or counted on election night. We don't do that anymore. This could go on for days, weeks, months. We don't know. And if it's a slam dunk and Trump wins, I'll be very happy if I'm completely wrong. I'll be very happy. I'll be like, yeah, I was wrong. Thank God I was wrong. But I just sense something is coming that's beyond anything that we've seen so far.